Hey everybody, welcome back to Active Self-Protection Extra. Today on John's Briefs, back again with Marc Victor from Attorneys for Freedom. And I want to talk today about the video we had recently with the woman yelling and hollering because the other woman wasn't wearing a mask, and then that led to an assault. So I want to talk particularly here. I've heard some people talk about this legal idea that they have that somebody who isn't wearing a mask is, assaulting them. I think it's full of problems here, but I want to ask the attorney. Today's video is brought to us by Firearms Legal Protection. Firearms Legal Protection is a legal defense program for lawful gun owners with a 24/7 emergency hotline and plans designed specifically for self-defenders. They are offering a discount on their plan to Ask fans, so hit the link in the description for that. Marc, as always, man, I really appreciate your time here on Active Self-Protection. And I'll tell you, if you're in Arizona or you're in Hawaii, Marc is the premier criminal defense attorney in Arizona for 26 years. And now you just invaded Hawaii, and I would say...
we're having a lot of fun in Hawaii.
I mean, a terrible thing to do to go practice law in Hawaii, right?
But, very anti-gun.
Yeah.
And I intend to make a lot of noise on that issue there, so...
Well, and one of our full-time employees, Soleil, is big in the Second Amendment world in Hawaii. And her and her husband live in Hawaii, and so we got to get you guys connected because she's big on that, and she knows everybody in that.
We're going to turn that state around to one of the more free states in the nation.
So if you're in those two states for sure, this is the guy that you're going to hire. I'm going to tell you straight up, if ever I am in a defensive encounter, I live here in Arizona, I'm not calling anybody else. I'm just picking up the cell phone and calling you. And that's a cool part because you just let your clients have your cell phone number.
Yes,
which is insane. How do you do that?
You know what? We answer the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning. I got a wild pack of wolves here. My lawyers are hardcore, and they do this because they love doing this stuff. They're all pro-freedom, and that means they're all pro-responsible gun owners.
Awesome. So we had this incident show up on the channel where a woman, I wouldn't call her elderly, she's 53,
right.
But she was using a cane.
Yep.
And so frail for sure, making copies, and this other woman comes by not wearing her mask. And the frail woman yells at the other woman for not wearing her mask, which made her angry. And so she come over and start wagging her finger in her face. Well, then that causes the woman to use her cane to push her off. Well, then now we've instituted a physical thing, whatever. And so she grabs a hold of her and throws her down. I think clearly that was morally wrong. I mean, you take a frail person and you toss them around and you break her leg or whatever.
Legally wrong, too.
Legally wrong. Going to face some charges there. But I have heard, and maybe this is just more general social media from some of my friends who have said, well, somebody who's not wearing a mask, John, I mean, that's really assault because they are infecting me. But that seems to be a wrong attitude to me because I can't guarantee you they're infected. What do you think of this idea?
Well, this is actually the biggest problem we have with this entire pandemic thing, in my opinion. We don't know what the facts are. We think we know what the facts are. We're operating on different facts. Nobody knows exactly what's going on. So, and what I would say it like this. If you watch CNN, you think we're all going to die from the coronavirus and it's so contagious and so deadly and this and that. If you watch Fox, you're certainly a lot less worried about it, right? You think it's pretty much over, mostly overblown. Some even will say a hoax. So we have two completely polar opposites. So if you're going to analyze this issue, you have to agree on the facts, right? So what we lawyers like to do in situations like this, because we don't know what the facts are, is we bring a hypothetical, okay? So if you can imagine a pandemic, and the facts are such that it's very, very deadly, and it's very widespread and very communicable under those circumstances, and everybody knows about it, well, now you're a lot closer to an assault, frankly. And the reason I say that is take it out of that circumstance. Take a situation where somebody has some horrible disease. Let's just say they have AIDS.
Okay.
They know they've got AIDS. Let's just say AIDS is deadly. And let's just say they say, you know what, I don't care. They know it's transmitted sexually. And they say, I don't care, I'm going to do it anyways.
And we've had cases like that where people with AIDS have knowingly had sex with people, even and unprotected sex, knowing that it's communicable sexually.
A crime. No dispute there. Right?
No dispute there.
No dispute there. If they intended to give the other person the disease, definitely a crime. But if they said, I might have it. In fact, I probably have it. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I hope I don't infect this person, but I'm going to take this chance anyway.
It's a big risk.
We call this reckless behavior.
Right.
Reckless behavior is criminal, right? An assault can be a reckless causing of a physical injury. So if somebody is reckless about causing another person a physical injury. So say we have facts where, 80% of the people in the population have it, it's super communicable, and you're interacting with other people, and you say, look, I hope I don't infect anybody, but I know I might.
But I'm just going to live my life.
Yeah, and then if somebody gets infected because you were being reckless by not wearing a mask, I think there's a good argument there.
Okay.
So I can imagine facts where, and again, to be clear, so we can save some email, I'm not talking about the coronavirus situation.
I'm talking about the general idea.
Because we don't agree on the facts on the coronavirus situation. I'm using a hypothetical where we got a real pandemic, we got a real deadly situation, and a lot of people have it, and a lot of people are getting it. It's easy to, breathing on somebody can give it to them. Under those circumstances, yeah, I think I could see the argument that not wearing a mask could be a crime. Okay, so now imagine the other end of the spectrum. We have a circumstance where, the flu's going around and it's communicable, but it's really not very deadly, which is the situation we have every year. Right?
Every year with the flu.
People give other people the flu. So maybe it would be better, imagine it would be better if you wore a mask to prevent the spread of the flu. But if you don't wear a mask and then it gets spread under those circumstances, I think you'd have a hard time as a prosecutor charging somebody with a criminal offense because they gave somebody else the flu. A situation where we're not dealing with that deadly of a disease and it's fairly widespread, that kind of thing. So it depends where the facts show up here.
Well, I certainly think that it would make sense to me to be reasonable. We're always talking about reasonable, right? Mm-hmm. That if I see somebody who is, showing respiratory symptoms and they're right up in my space and I go, hey man, back off. I don't want you to sneeze on me. And they say, well, I can do whatever I want. And then
yeah, right.
Now I can more reasonably use physical force to say, get away from me.
I agree with you. And I also think that there's a category we haven't talked about, the negligent category. Geez, I didn't even think I had the thing. Well, you should have known. Maybe the coronavirus situation. I didn't realize I had it, but maybe you should have known, or said another way to put in the language of negligence. A reasonable person would have known that you probably would have had this thing, and although you didn't intend to give it to anybody, you weren't aware of passing it on, the fact that you didn't wear a mask passed it on. This could be a civil case. I could imagine, but we have all kinds of proof problems here. Right? In this situation, with what we can see about corona, it doesn't look to be horrendously deadly to me by virtually any account. I think the CDC...
Unless you have pre-existing conditions, unless you have other complications.
Right. The CDC, I think, is now advertising, and this, of course, is subject to change, a 0.06 fatality rate for people who get coronavirus. So not really that deadly. How communicable is it? Seems very... But a lot of people have it. Maybe the vast majority of people have it, don't even know they have it. So under those circumstances, if you believe those facts, and those are sort of generally, I think, accepted facts, I have a hard time seeing or agreeing with the people who say, under these circumstances today, failing to wear a mask is akin to a criminal offense. I just don't see that. Now, that doesn't mean that people can't yell at you. Put your damn mask on. Okay, well, it's America. You have a right to even offend other people. That's if you can't deal with that, then go move to some totalitarian society where you have a right to not be offended. That's not America.
And I also think that the reasonable thing is, as we've talked about many times, is to live and let live. Just look, if my risk tolerance is maybe different than your risk tolerance, and I'll wear a mask in places that other people maybe wouldn't, but I won't wear a mask in some places other people will. I know right now my wife and I will have couples over for dinner, and some people are like, man, that's too big a risk because I don't know where they've been, and we kind of are not getting into big groups, but so those are all things where you go, just live and let live. Somebody's not wearing a mask, wear yours. It's okay.
While it was legal for the lady with the cane to yell at the bigger lady and say, put your mask on, was it smart?
No, it was dumb.
Didn't turn out to be smart here, but she had every right to say it, so there's no legal problem here, and we're not necessarily doing a video about morality or anything like that.
Well, I think we talk about it. Was it legal for the other woman to come and get in her face and say, you don't tell me what to do?
Maybe, maybe not. Because you can certainly assault a person without touching a person, right?
Depends on what words were said.
Right, so there's things we don't know, but it could be, you're a lot closer. Like when this bigger lady comes over and invades her space and puts the finger in her face and blah, blah, blah. Did she intend to put her in fear of an imminent physical injury? And was
more reasonably, for sure.
Was this lady put in fear of physical injury? It certainly looked like that to me.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an argument that that's at least a misdemeanor assault. The lady with the cane kind of clears. I didn't see her sort of trying to attack with the cane, at least initially.
I think she was trying to kind of push space, like get away from me.
Get away from me, which I think is perfectly fine.
Yep.
I think that to the extent she touched her with the cane, I think that this probably is going to be construed as reasonable self-defense.
I think so.
Minimal force. You can do a little bit of, hey man, get out of my face. And then this lady just flipped out.
Yeah.
To grab a woman much smaller than you like that, who's got a cane, and chuck her on the ground, breaking her leg, this is definitely going to be an aggravated assault.
So I think an interesting incident where you have an unarmed person committing aggravated assault because it caused great bodily injury to this woman.
And maybe the thing that bothered me the very most about this video is something we didn't even talk about, and I don't even know if we're thinking about the same thing, but I got to tell you what just really bothered me about this video. That lady sat there on that floor.
And nobody did a thing.
Everybody looked at her, including the people who worked there. We just keep moseying. Let me clear off this and move that, and then...
And it was just...
Well, this lady's on the floor with a broken leg. Are you kidding me? I know you say you got to think about whether you... I'm damn sure going to get involved at this point.
Totally. I see somebody that's a frail person like that on the floor. I got to get involved. I think that's that. I do always give that advice because I say, look, you've got to figure that out in advance. So then you're not thinking, should I get involved? Nope. You know where your line is and you act on your line.
I couldn't live with myself if I was one of those people. And I think the people in the store probably had a duty to act at that point. They probably had some duty, right? Because you've got a duty to what we call sometimes a business invitee, which is what this woman is coming into the store. You have a duty to inspect the place, to make it safe. This lady's still roaming around the store, right? In fact, you saw the little push with the foot or the cane as she walked by. To me, that could have been interpreted as she's now trying to aggress, but I don't think so. I think that was more likely, stay the heck away from
defensive.
me. I think it's more defensive, but I think at this point, now if I'm the manager of the store, I feel like I got to step in and say, you're out of here.
Right.
We're calling the police. How can I help you? You got to take some action. Even if you're not the manager of a store, if you're a human being and you just saw that, I don't know, unless you're really not in a position to help or you're just so afraid of the conflict, guys like you and I and the vast majority of people, at least help the lady up.
You got to step in there and at least calm everything down. Okay, all right, no more physical violence, back up. And if she goes, well, I'll do whatever I want. Now you and I got a problem, back up, and that's enough with the physical violence. You're not going to attack me like you did a 50-some-odd-year-old woman with a cane.
And it was really horrible to see that the lady who committed the big assault, the bigger woman, just kind of strutting around the store. She's knocking stuff over and just, I don't care. And just kind of, I mean, it was kind of an ugly video, I thought.
Let's be better than this as a society, everybody. Let's, A, be kind to each other. B, live and let live. Just let them, let somebody else. It's not criminal to be an idiot. It's not criminal to be a jerk. Let it go.
We can't trust the government to sort of legislate a virtuous society.
It's true.
If you want to live in a civilized, virtuous, ethical society, it's on us. It's on all of us. The good people of the world need to step up and act properly, even if the law doesn't require it. The law is the minimum standard you got to comply with.
Do you know why I invite him on the channel all the time? That right there. Thanks, my friend.
All right, brother.